Hello, this is Kenneth Wong, contributing editor for Desktop Engineering magazine. Earlier this month, MSc Software, one of the biggest names in analysis and simulation, released a new version of its product, Patran. In Patran 2010, the latest version, perhaps the most notable change is the user interface, or the UI. It now has Windows ribbon bar menu, with each related task bundled together under the same ribbon. I had a chance to see a demonstration of the software, so I'd like to share with you some of the things that I saw. Bear in mind this footage was created from a WebEx demonstration over the internet, so if the animation seems slower than you might expect, it's not an indication of the software's performance, but rather an artifact of the large volume of data that needed to be passed back and forth over the connection. Perhaps one of the greatest features is the software's ability to stitch together or assemble together a single model for analysis from datasets that are kept in different places or directories. Here we have the shell of a plane's body, the internal structural ribs, and the windows, each separately living in 3 different sources. Here is the dialog box you would use to define the nature of the context between different elements. That means whether they are to be attached to each other like glued objects, whether they touch each other, or whether they should be allowed to deform, and so on. Now, if you need to inspect some fine details, like, for example, the distance between one node or point and another, you can select 2 points, and once you've done that, you'll find that the side panel is already populated with the relevant information about each node, and the distance is displayed in the pop-up panel like this. Now here is the final result of the analysis, showing the movement of the tail section in response to the applied load. If your 3D model came from a parametric design package, you could have Patran pick out the feature information such as holes and blends. This allows you, of course, to make changes on the fly if you need to adjust something to see how it might change the analysis results. In cases where you might need to extract mid-plane surfaces for analysis, and this is something often done with sheet metal parts with a certain thickness, you'll find that the process is highly automatic in Patran. And in case you notice some undesired edges stemming from the software's best guess efforts to accommodate for a blend or a curve, if you'd like to remove that, the easiest way to do perhaps is to use Patran's feature recognition to identify and delete the offending blend or the curve, then recreate the mid-plane surface for better results, like this. Creating standard or coarse meshing is of course fairly automatic, but let's look at something else. If you're not satisfied with the mesh you got, and you'd still like to be able to keep your meshes at a fairly manageable volume, what you can do is create a mesh on a mesh. First, create a fine layer of mesh, then create another, less granular layer of mesh based on the first layer. What you end up with, as you can see here, shows better mesh sectioning for geometry that involves holes, blends, and curves and transitions. Well, that's a quick summary of Patran 2010. I'd like to thank MSc Software for the demonstration. Till next time, this is Kenneth Wong for Desktop Engineering magazine, reporting from somewhere within a mesh.